rolling now. So just kind of walk me through why you decided to not sign on to this contract.
Well, Ken, a great example of the complexity of this is an 8-page document. A contract similar to this has been signed for the past 33 years by the Citrus County Sheriff and the chairman of the school board and the superintendent of schools. Following the passage of SB 7026, the contract has now grown to 3 times the size of that. And in this contract, there is language that is not only unconstitutional, it's also illegal, immoral, and unethical. And what it requires me to do is forego my duties as an elected constitutional officer. And I cannot sign a contract that is illegal. And in this contract, the wording specifically states that if I get grant money from the federal government, or if any money comes out of SB 7026 that gets directed down through the Legislative Budget Commission process, that money is to be split evenly between the county commission and the school board. Well, SB 7026, in the 105 pages of that document, it has a prohibition against doing that. You are not allowed to divert money away from new requirements that have emerged since the Parkland shooting. So therefore, it's illegal under SB 7026 in Florida law. And when you apply for a grant, which I have already applied for federal grants to help us out, because we did not get properly funded for the entirety of this program in this upcoming school year, the grants all say specifically that you cannot take money that the federal government gives you and use it to pay for other bills. You have to use it for the purpose that you applied for the grant in the first place. So that too is illegal. And our attorney caught it, but the school board's attorney and the county commission's attorney insisted on allowing that language to be in a contract. That makes the contract illegal. I clearly understand that, and I cannot sign a contract that's illegal. I took an oath to uphold the Constitution of the federal government and our state government. And I am the person that is the constitutional officer that's duty-bound to not sign a contract that violates Florida law or federal law. And I cannot sign that contract the way it's written. Now, months ago, we had an agreement to go ahead and put together a package of deputy sheriffs on all of our campuses. Going back to May, we talked about it. Going back to April, we talked about it. Going back to March, before this bill came law, we talked about it. We knew how many deputy sheriffs we needed to have on our campuses. And through going back and forth and every cost-cutting mechanism possible, they went from what we recommended as the bare minimum of 12 deputy sheriffs, and we said we will start the year with 9, but I'm going to go out and seek grant opportunities and other private donations to help me pay for the things that haven't been paid for. So right now, I need 3 more deputies to go ahead and augment what we've already got out there to meet the standard, and also ensure that anytime a deputy sheriff has to do an arrest, a Baker Act, or go to court, or go and do a deposition, that we've got coverage on those school campuses, because I'm not going to pull a deputy sheriff off those campuses. Now, this team has been on this job for 33 years and done a flawless job. This is the A team. This is the team that is trained to the standards of excellence, not only by Florida statute, but nationally accredited. Why would you want to do anything less than that? Because you're being very foolish with the money that you've been allocated, and you're unwilling to go out and support a program because of the money. The money should not be the issue when it comes to protecting our students on our school campuses. The issue should be, what does the sheriff require to do the job to the standards that the parents and that the sheriff, as the sole law enforcement official in this community, charged with constitutional duties, needs to have. And we know what that number is. We've talked about it very passionately, and we should not have to violate Florida law and sign a contract that's illegal just to make that happen. So on August 13th, which is next Monday, there will be a deputy sheriff on every one of those campuses. I agreed with the school board, and I agreed months ago that here's the number that we would do, but I also agreed that I was going to go out and seek a grant opportunity to take care of these other shortcomings that are out there. I also took the step back in March, which you will remember, to go and ask the governor, the president of the Senate, and the Speaker of the House to consider a legislative budget commission process to reallocate that money to go out and help us with our shortfalls. We have significant shortfalls. The school board hasn't provided the money to pay for that. I am not going to the Dollar Tree to buy law enforcement equipment. I'm going to buy the essential equipment necessary to protect our children and also protect our teachers and also protect our deputy sheriffs, because it's important that they show up and do the job. They've got all the tools they need, but it's also important that they go back home to their families at the end of their shift. We've got to do that, and we cannot sign a contract that's illegal.
And now, I've been looking online at just some of the initial reaction from the community as this news has gotten out. One thing that I'm seeing a lot of people say is, well, he must be hiding something if he's not going to sign this. What do you have to say to people that are saying that?
Well, there's nothing to hide. You know what? We've gone through 12 audits in the past decade plus. Every one of those audits has had 0 findings. The audits have been perfect. But why would you, how many times do you do your income taxes? Once per year? Why would you pay for a second set of eyes to do your income taxes all over again? The county already has a very well thought out process, independent from the constitutional officers, where a board picks the auditing firm that audits every constitutional officer and every dollar that gets spent in those agencies. So why are we separating out a slice of a budget in the smallest budget in our county to go out and go after that? Why? Nobody's ever explained that to me. The county has a $267 million budget for the upcoming fiscal year. The school board will probably be in the neighborhood of more than $220 million. My budget's around $30 million. Now you tell me where you think you're going to find the fat in that budget, especially when for decades this agency has been underfunded and not been provided the proper budget that it needs to do the job that we're required to do. So if they want to come look, it's all about it. In fact, we've posted several documents out there that talk about what it costs, first year costs and then recurring costs. And people didn't want to pay those first year costs because the capital is expensive. Well, guess what? That's the first year cost. It doesn't matter what sheriff's office you're in. But this morning I met with a senator from our state legislature and we talked in depth about this. And there was a specific reason why the sheriff was put in there 20 times in this legislation. Because across every one of our counties except for Miami-Dade, the sheriff is the one constitutional officer that is empowered to do law enforcement across the spectrum of everything in those communities out there. Not any other local law enforcement agency, the sheriff. And it mentions that specifically, and that's the first person that they mention in that document. And it directs the school boards to partner with those sheriffs to ensure that we have safe school officers on the campus of every one of our schools. So the books are as transparent as can be, but you have to take the time to go and read through them. And we've provided, in fact, in interviews with the media in the past, we've said, here's the cost of a first-year deputy going in there. We're not putting brand new rookies in there. We're putting seasoned professionals who've been out there for a very long time. And our average number of years, I think it was about 14 years on the job when we put those first numbers together and looked at what we had among the deputies that were serving as school resource deputies in the Citrus County Sheriff's Office. 14 years. You can't get that experience anywhere else in this profession right now with the turnover that everybody's seeing. So we've picked seasoned professionals to go in and augment that force, and it's seamlessly ready to be executed. So I've got an agreement with the school board. We agreed how much the cost was going to be, and we're going to go out and do it. And the county needs to take the unnecessary and unlawful language out of the contract, and I'll sign it. I'd sign it today, but I can't sign a contract that violates Florida law and violates the federal law.
That was going to be my next question. Is this kind of, are you done at this point, or as you said, it's just if it's modified?
Well, it has, Kim, this contract right here, this 26-page document that's 3 times the size of this one here, has 2 parts of it that need to come out, and that's it. That's it. If those parts come out, I'll sign the contract right now. But I cannot sign a document that goes against the grain of doing the job that I've taken an oath to do. It is an illegal document, and no one would sign a contract that had illegal language in it knowingly. And we know about it, and really we saw that they were trying to pull a fast one and put that language in there, and it's unnecessary and it's illegal. So we cannot sign a contract that we don't agree with.
Now, I know you said deputies will be in schools on August 13th. You know, how long is that going to last? If the contract is as it is and everything stays as it is right now, what can parents expect from your department?
Well, this 105-page document never mentions that the county commission needs to be party to an agreement. There's not one mention of that. The county doesn't. For 33 years, the county was never part of an agreement. Through some heavy-handed bureaucratic manipulation, the county has injected itself into this contract. They don't need to be in this. I offered through my attorney to go to the school board and say, hey, let's sign a contract, and then I can appeal the budget to the governor and the cabinet and let them figure it out. But we know what right looks like. We've done it for 3 decades in this office, and we will continue to do that. And as far as I'm concerned, I already had an agreement with the school board and the superintendent months ago, and we solidified that before the county got involved. And that agreement was to go through the 2018-2019 school year. That's not in question. What the question is how much bureaucracy will we have to pay for on top of all the other expenses that we don't have any money to pay for now. And that's the real objection that I have is, why do we want to tie up taxpayer money on something that we have no money to pay for in the first place? I don't have enough equipment for my deputies now. I can't get the county commission to give me money to buy radios that are antiques and no longer going to be serviced by the manufacturer next year. They're not going to service the radios after next year, and the county commission is not giving me a dime for that. So how on earth can I field these deputies out there to do this job unless I go after grant money and private donations?
Okay, I think those are the questions I have. Is there anything else that you want to add that I have not asked?
Lindsay? Ma'am?
You want me to ask my question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can you tell me what senator you met with this morning?
I met with Senator Simpson.
And
we talked specifically about the language of 7026 in depth. In fact, I met with several of my other sheriffs. You know, there's not another sheriff in the state of Florida right now that is dealing with this bureaucratic nonsense where people have injected this type of bureaucratic manipulation into that. You know, the message is that we have to do what's legally and morally right, and we cannot subject ourselves to doing something that's illegal or immoral.
what was your reasoning for not attending the last school board or county commission meeting?
I was not available to attend the last school board or county commission meeting.
When you say no other sheriffs are currently being subjected to illegalities in the contract, is it your understanding that most or all sheriffs are partnering with their school districts, or are there other school districts?
There's some other school districts that are still not in agreement with what their sheriff has recommended, and they've selected other options that are out there to go ahead and provide for this. This is a best practice. This is not only a nationally recognized program, but this program has got decades of experience under its belts. And this team that's been dedicated to doing this mission for this long, Carly, has taken this job very seriously. And they're not going about it haphazardly. If you want to go about it haphazardly, go out and pay somebody $10 an hour and ask them to run towards the sound of gunfire and risk their lives. And, there's a cost associated with this. And these deputies are the best trained, and we're going to make sure they're equipped with every tool that they're required to have to do this job. You cannot send a deputy out there with less than what they need to do the job, and you can't expect to have the results that we've got. Parkland is one mistake away, and there's not going to be a Parkland in Citrus County so long as I'm the sheriff.
What are your intentions if the county won't remove the contract language you object to?
I'll take them to court.
Over the illegality of an additional audit?
No, it's not just the additional audit. It's also putting language in there. Let me read this language to you. Kim, I hope you're still recording.
I'm recording.
It's right here on page 88. It says, any additional funds appropriated to this allocation in the 2018-2019 fiscal year to the School Resource Officer Program established pursuant to Section 1006 shall be used exclusively for employing or contracting for school resource officers, which shall be in addition to the number of officers employed or contracted for in the 2017-2018 fiscal year.
So your interpretation is that that's federal and other funding and not just state budget money?
This is 7026 money. This
Right.
is specific to 7026.
Right.
So what they want to do is if the Aaron Feist money becomes available, they want to take that Aaron Feist money and go paint stripes in parking lots or pave roads to nowhere. We can't stand for that. The county has not given me a dime to pay for vehicles. The school board and I worked out an agreement. If we're going to have a continuing agreement that goes on for 5 years, I will lease vehicles. But if that Aaron Feist money comes out, I can save the taxpayers money. I can purchase the vehicles for 10% less than what I can lease them for over the contract lease of 5 years. Who wouldn't want to do that if you could save the money? And that money is 1 year money, which covers the operating and capital costs that are up front. Why wouldn't we want to do that? Leverage that. And I need 3 more additional deputies to do this job properly. If that money becomes available, why don't we plow that into hiring the additional deputies we need to do this job right? We should not cut corners on school safety. We stand fast and resolute to have the safest schools in the state of Florida. And I'm not going to compromise on having the safest schools in Florida. When the money that I can go out and get will help me do that job, I'm not going to give it to the school board to paint stripes on parking lots, and I'm not going to give that money to pave roads to nowhere for the county commission to redirect that money. That money is intended for one thing only, and you have to go back and read the preamble to this bill that talks about the legislative intent. The legislative intent is to have safe schools in Florida, not to go out and do anything else with that money. I get it, I understand it, but if you don't read the bill and understand what that language means, then you miss the entire whole purpose behind this bill and why the Senate and the House and the governor worked so hard to put this legislation out there. And that's why every sheriff in the state of Florida stands resolute in saying that we want a sworn deputy sheriff or a municipal police officer on the campus of every public school in the state of Florida. There's no substitute for that. We saw it up in Marion County. We saw it in Maryland when that young boy brought a gun in and shot somebody at his school and the school resource deputy engaged. And we saw it recently out in Texas before the end of the school year where that sworn law enforcement officer engaged and did the right thing to protect lives and save those kids' lives.
Was Senator Simpson able to provide any insight into whether the legislature might be inclined to reallocate the Guardian money?
No, we did not talk about the Legislative Budget Commission process. It's an election year, and there's too many other distractions out there right now during an election year. I doubt very seriously that the LBC will take this process up until after the election, just based on the way things are going right now. We might see something after the Labor Day weekend break, after the primaries are done, but I'm very doubtful that they're going to do it based on what we've already seen, because everybody has acknowledged that this bill leaves quite a bit out there that needs to be worked on next session. And it really depends on how the election goes in November. So if you're going to, work hard to ensure that we've got the best tools provided to protect our students, this piece of legislation needs to be worked on more next year.
Sheriff, your time is up.
Sheriff, I got a very quick question. I'm a parent, I have a young kid in elementary school. I know you're a grandparent. You have we all have skin in this. What do you say to the parent that's got 3 kids that's going to take their child to Pleasant Grove Elementary School on Monday? And with concerns, there's a lot of good information, maybe some misinformation that's been spread out on social media, all those different platforms. What do you tell those folks? Because their most precious resources walking through those doors on Monday.
The Citrus County Sheriff's Office will be there, just like we always have been. And we will not let anything fall through the cracks. We're going to be there. That's our oath. We are not compromising on that. Now, the bureaucrats can continue to meddle in this, and we'll take it to court, and we'll see how the courts decide. But it's clear that the sheriff, as a constitutional officer, takes that duty very seriously. Look at what just happened recently up in Alachua County when there was a disagreement between the county commission and the sheriff. The courts prevailed on the side, the sheriff prevailed. The courts agreed with the sheriff. And I am not compromising on the safety of our children. Our deputies are not compromising. Everybody, this has been our #1 priority since the tragic news was playing nonstop for days and days after the Parkland shooting. We've got the right formula here, but the bureaucrats need to get the hell out of the way, because bureaucracy is what causes problems and leads to people getting injured.
Okay, let's.
Thank you, Sheriff.